welcome back to First Reviews. Gal Balaban here, and I'm very excited to be sitting with writer and director Ann Marie Fleming of Can I Get a Witness, as well as the film's lead, Keira Jang. So the film tells a very interesting concept of a future in which technology is banned, and in order to maintain the population, people have to, I guess, give their own lives voluntarily at the age of 50. With such an interesting high concept, I guess I like to call it, where did you first have this, I guess, light bulb moment where you envisioned everything and knew this had potential for a feature-length script?
So this started as a sort of a meditation on climate. I live in Vancouver and I used to live in the West End. And back as early as 2006, there was this windstorm that blew down 10,000 trees in one night. And there were these king tides that were washing away the seawall. On the news, Canada was trying to raise its pension age from 65 to 67, and this was like a long way away, away for me at the time. But I just thought I wanted to say something about the two things together, sort of this anticipatory grief about
Mhm.
climate and about end of life. And I was inspired by Jonathan Swift, who's like this Irish English, uh, I guess philosopher, activist, writer, who suggested that during the potato famine, the great famine in Ireland, that the Irish should just eat their babies because they have a population problem that's solved, and also they can get some good protein. And this was a very harsh farce. It was a political critical gesture, and a lot of people took him seriously. A lot of people got very angry, but a discussion was had, and things changed. And it drew attention to predatory landowner practices in Ireland. And so it started with that. But as I started to write it, and over the many years that it took to make this film, after we went through COVID, where extreme weather events are felt by everybody around the world, and the upcoming of MAID, like medical assistance in dying, which is real here, but it's still a big conversation in many, many countries around the world. Suddenly, everything that I put into this film had a different light on it, like
Mhm.
this wasn't a crazy fantasy. I mean, 50 was supposed to be crazy. And now all of these questions are questions that people are all thinking about anyway, you know?
Now, this is a question for both of you. The movie is very much about this idea of who tells our story for us and the human subjectivity of how we observe and then perceive reality. Um, how has art ever helped you understand reality better or come to terms with the truth?
Yeah, I think art is such a good way of explaining things that you feel but don't know how to put into words. So, I remember when I started dancing as a kid, I I would feel these things and it would be kind of a release of emotion that I didn't really understand at the time. And then now having been able to absorb like more movies and reading books and everything, it's you can find different little things to relate to that just make you feel so valid in your own emotions and you find things that you think, "Oh, I could never put that into words," but there it is. So I think definitely the purpose that art serves for me.
Well, that's funny. I mean, art has always shown us who we are. That's its purpose. It's not just a mirror. It also shows us what we don't even know we are.
Mhm.
And for me, the opposite, I guess, because words, is that it's like the consolation of poetry. There's nothing, there's nothing like reading poetry. Um, whether it's contemporary or from millennia ago, and that's kind of like the subject of my last feature, Window Horses, that it shows us how we are the same through time, all of us, all over the world. It's just magic.
So one scene that really, I guess, resonated with me later on in the runtime is a support group scene in which your character Kia is sitting with other people who um, are also observing these people voluntarily giving themselves at 50. What was it like filming that scene, which is almost like as someone, living in our normal, quote, normal reality, feels very heightened. Was it like oddly funny, somber, a bit of both?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of both. I feel like it was interesting to see how desensitized these young people are to this like huge thing that they have to deal with. Um, but I think it also was really hopeful to imagine a future in which they're talking about the absurdity that resources weren't equally shared and there was poverty and some people were more important than others or had more money than others or access to resources and I think having like seeing that people of my age not even understanding that that was a thing is kind of inspiring and I do hope that that is some form of the future that we can have those conversations of oh my gosh yeah remember when this wasn't accepted or this so I think
Mhm.
it was definitely a bit of both.
But what's funny is that it's kind of like imitates art because this was the only day it was the only day where it was a large cast and it was all young people. Like the film was a separation between those who are going and and these teenagers and that has a different tone and the way that these people interact is different on the script and in life. And then you had
Yeah.
this group dynamic. I mean, you must have felt it. It was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the conversations that we had that day with that group of people versus the conversations that we would have with these people who are playing the 50-year-olds were so starkly different for sure.
Yeah.
On the subject of accepting something that to our human nature seems so outlandish, can you talk more about how Kia's relationships with both Daniel and her mother, played so well by the great Sandra Oh, impact her acceptance and pushing back of this reality she's been thrown into?
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you're raised and this is the only world that you don't really understand it fully or understand how it came to be, and you don't really ask these questions until you're in it. And so I think as this story is written, where you're seeing her go through these things for the first time, you see this teenager realizing, oh, I don't agree with this, or raising these questions for the first time, or even questioning her own mother and I think having Daniel kind of be her teacher slash companion in that sense, you see her trying to push those boundaries a bit, but also just trying to understand how he's so calm about it all. And then her
Yeah.
relationship with her mother and knowing that it was her generation that implemented all of this, how she's just in complete disbelief and seeing what impact this has on her. And I think being able to experience that both through someone her age and then experiencing that with her mother, I think those are definitely two really different relationships.
So, last, I want to ask a bit more of a fun question. Are there any films, whether that influenced you or you think might be tonally or thematically similar, that you think could make a great double feature with Can I Get a Witness?
Oh, I am so this film really is an homage to Afterlife, the Koreeda film. I don't know if you know
Mm.
it. It's so it's about all these people who die and they go to this space where they have an opportunity to make a film of their favorite memory before they go on to, the
Ah,
afterlife. And so it's about them reconsidering, gently being reconsidered, there are these people that are helping them consider what do you want your lasting memory to be? What do you want your last memory to be? And it's just so lovely. Oh my gosh. Kira, what would you double bill this with?
I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm especially like after watching this movie, I feel like you just want to like hug your loved ones and
Yeah, this is
talk.
definitely going to be the second in the double bill.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you start it with? Maybe something that's like the complete opposite, like some extreme show of wealth or extreme
I don't
show.
know. I mean, if you look at like Adam McKay's film Don't Look Up, which is dealing
Yeah.
with
ah,
many of the same um, issues, like
Yeah.
the most opposite-y way, you
Right.
know, and there's no mistaking his point of view.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's different. Just it'd be interesting to see because this deals with all the same issues, but I'm hoping that the point of view is allows it's more
Mhm.
space, you know. But yeah, just tonally too. That'd be kind of fun
Yeah,
if you
I
want
think
to do a
that'd be
climate night.
Yeah, there you
Uh,
go. Yeah, because you kinda get that, like, the message in your face, bold, you know exactly what the filmmakers are thinking, and then, you approach this one, which is a bit more gentle and nuanced for sure.
Don't Look Up is definitely a very, I guess, polar opposite tonally, but I think would fit in a very unique way. Anyway, thank you so much, Anne Marie and Keira. Can I Get a Witness opens in Canada on March 14th. And thank you, you guys, for tuning in.
Thank you.